हाय, हम लोग आए हैं कैंटरबरी और ड्रोवर्स में और अभी फ़िलहाल के लिए जा रहे हैं। और जो यहाँ पे आप देख रहे हो ये डॉक है। एक्चुअली यहाँ से लोग फ्रांस यूरोप के लिए एंटर होते हैं, एग्ज़िट होते हैं, शिप लेके वहाँ से बाहर निकलते हैं। और मेरे हिसाब से नॉट सो श्योर बट दैट इज़ द नेक्स्ट लैंड। मतलब अब जहाँ पे मैं दिखाने जा रहा हूँ दैट इज़, जैसे आपको मालूम नहीं प्रॉपर दिख रहा है कि नहीं, बट दैट इज़ द लैंड फॉर। बट आ रहा तो है बहुत मज़ा और दिस इज़ गुड। प्रतीक, could you explain what this is वापस in the video? क्या है?
दिस इज इंग्लैंड।
ये क्या है? जगह का नाम क्या है?
अपाड़ा बजब्बा।
अरे बोलना।
वाइट क्लिफ्स है यहाँ पे। कैसा है कि बहुत सारे जगह पे जो लैंड है उसके अंदर लाइमस्टोन है, तो लाइमस्टोन की वजह से जो पत्थर मतलब बेसिकली वाइट हो गया ना, लाइमस्टोन इज वाइट।
करेक्ट।
और ये जो क्लिफ है ये सब मतलब जब टेक्टोनिक प्लेट्स मूवमेंट हुआ है और सब कॉन्टिनेंट्स पहले तो एक साथ ही थे, फिर दे हैव ब्रोकन डाउन एंड मूव्ड फार अपार्ट, तो क्लिफ बन जाता है और बीच में पानी आ जाता है। तो ये वाइट क्लिफ है, अच्छा दिखता है, मतलब ब्राउन जैसे लैंड्स एंड में हमने देखा था वो वाइट क्लिफ नहीं था, वो ब्राउन था।
करेक्ट।
ये वाइट है।
अभी ये
तो
क्लिफ
दिखने
का
में अच्छा
एक
लगता है, थोड़ा हिस्टोरिकल। इस प्लेस का सिग्निफिकेंस ये है कि सामने फ्रेंच लैंड है, सो फ्रेंच कोस्ट दिखता है, लाइक यू कैन हैव अ ग्लिम्प्स ऑफ यू कांट
बट दिस इज़ द क्लिफ। मतलब ये बहुत सही दिख रहा है द होल।
like obviously the phone won't do justice
करेक्ट
to what we can actually see with our eyes, without our glass, without glass।
बहुत मस्त है गाइस, टू गुड।
और
वहाँ पे लोग सब स्विमिंग
हमें
में
आगे
कर
तक
रहे
चल के जाना क्योंकि वहाँ
हैं।
से
अच्छा पेबल बिच।
और यहाँ पे ये जो गाड़ियाँ आगे पीछे होती है बहुत बस।
बस मुझे लगता है अपन थोड़ा आगे जाके ना नैन केव चेक कर लेते हैं, वापस इधर आना ही है वैसे तो। केव क्योंकि 3 बजे तक ही है टनल, तो थोड़ी देर में वापस मिलते हैं। गाइस हम लोग जा रहे हैं केव में, और लिटरली हम लोग वहाँ से चढ़ के आए और हम लोग वहाँ पे जा रहे हैं। सो मतलब केव है और मुझे बहुत करने का था ये। और जैसे कि आप देख रहे हैं हेलमेट पे लाइट लगा है, हेलमेट पे लाइट लगा है। मेरी आवाज़ तो सुनाई दे रही रहेगी क्योंकि बहुत ये है।
Right, okay then, ladies and gents. Those of you that wish to run, carry on. How this was when we first broke in through the seals and came through here. So everything is untouched apart from we swept up the rubbish. We've had to bring some lighting cables down. But apart from that, everything is World War II vintage.
This is original too.
This is original. That bit up there, look, isn't.
Yeah.
We've had to replace some of the sections.
Oh yeah.
Apart from that, everything else, and apart from the electricity, everything else is original. So, if you like to look at this photograph here, the picture is here. This is a picture of these tunnels, just as they were opened up in 1941, spring of 1941. So it shows you how the tunnels would have been set out as they were opening up. It was done by a famous war artist, Anthony Gross, and he went around recording scenes in wartime, including he seemed to get into the 3 flights of stairs and got to the bottom. Then that's where Anthony Gross, the war artist, did his drawing. We came along here, past the coat hangers and past the mod graffiti. We're now standing at that position there. Now our route will be into the room behind you, which is called the emergency store, and then into the room called the emergency hospital. Then we turn left, come along here, and eventually we exit the tunnel system at this point. We go into the outside world. But we also go back in time here, and we go back to the First World War, because here we've got a First World War sound mirror. And I'll be explaining to you how they were used. We move along the path to the other entrance here, and there's another sound mirror. And we enter the tunnel system again here and go all the way up here back to the beginning. So you get a nice circular tour. The yellow rectangles are the positions of bunk beds, but they also indicate the parts of the tunnel, the accommodation parts of the tunnel, and they were lined with corrugated iron sheeting here. The narrower parts of the tunnel were unlined, so you've got bare chalk. They're just used for access. Right, so if we're standing here, the tunnel behind me, up to the bend at least, should be lined. But when we got down here, this is what we found. It's a partial demolition job. They've taken it apart and left it. So that puzzled us a bit until we looked into the history and we found out that what the intention was, this door, and so we've tidied all the bits and pieces that we found lying around into one place. And what you've got here, you've got the rubble from the demolished wall, and I'll show you where that is, where that came from when we pass that location. There's an old piece of cable here which I'll try and remember to tell you about as we go past that one. That's got a story attached to it. But the main exhibit, if you like, is this thing here. It's a photocopy, or a enlarged photocopy of a football pools coupon. For those of you who are not familiar with pools, it's a method of betting on the results of football matches. The date of the match was 20th of February 1943. Which, okay, that doesn't sound remarkable. Right, so we're heading in that direction, and that's the outside world behind that door. And that section here is the officers' quarters here, and that links to the return tunnel on the other end. We'll be coming down that way on our way back. But here's a good opportunity to talk about the guys who made the tunnels. Now they were the 172nd Tunnelling Company of the Royal Engineers, and they were basically miners. They were recruited from the coalfields. The form of a medallion, and it says JG 1941. Most of the graffiti is quite tatty, but he's taken some time there to carve his initials and date. So continue down here. Right, there's another piece of, it's not graffiti, it's a small piece of sculpture, which you can see here. If you form a single file line around here, in passing, I'll just show you, there's a little man's head, just here. There you go. Little man's head. I like to think it might be JG, the same one who did the medallion. Wow. Ready.
Thank you.
Coast. There are about 9 of these mirrors built along the east coast up towards North Yorkshire. So what you've got here is this man. He's got a stethoscope in his ears attached to some tubing, and this is like a old-fashioned hearing trumpet, you know, just a thing you put in your ear. So you've got this hearing trumpet attached to his ears, but it's pivoted at a position so that that is precisely at the focal plane, the maximum sweet spot, if you like. So what he does, he swings it from side to side and up and down until the noise of the engines that he's listening to is loudest, then he knows he's directly in line with it. So he takes a compass reading, bearings here on the scale, and he phones London and says, I can hear aircraft coming on so-and-so bearing. Yeah, that's there's several of those. We think they're probably cable supports. Yeah. They just drape cables through. It may have been temporary while they were just excavating until they got the proper mains lights in there. Right, can you just slam the door behind you then? Yep. Right, you remember the bricks we saw on the floor in the stores? Well, those came from here. This is the remains of that wall. This was the first attempt, or one of the first attempts, to seal the tunnels off in the early 50s. It's pretty shoddy brickwork actually, so it wouldn't have taken much to push this over. But we do know that these bricks come from the men's latrines out there. They recycle them from the men's latrines. We didn't have to do any.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
सब दिख रहा है,
मुझे भी सब दिख रहा है।
क्या अपन हिंदुस्तानियों को भगवानों ने बहुत ब्लेस किया, बहुत ठंडी लग रही है।
When there was a bombing outside, where would you go?
Well, there, I guess.
Yeah.
They have a lid on it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's been a reinforced lid.
Yeah.
So it was not to save us here,
No,
but you know.
good enough to go.
Anyway, I've stopped here because there's another nice piece of graffiti. There's lots of old graffiti, but this one we've done a bit of research on. He's written his name twice, but it says gardener. This lump of metal is a shot, it's not a shell. It never had any explosives behind it, it's just solid metal. It was probably used as a practice round, but you can see it has been fired because of the marks on the firing band here, from the rifling and the barrel. So it's a good starting point to talk about how they used the fan bay guns up the top there. You mentioned, I said they hadn't got the range to reach the other side. Their prime function was to deal with.
Guys, हम लोग केव भी घूमे जैसे आपने लास्ट व्लॉग में देखा, पर हम लोग है बहुत ही खूबसूरत.
Hi friends, how are you guys?
This is going to be the best memories for us.
Best in the
टिकली टिकली
बट एक रह गया है पूरे व्लॉग में लाने का. वो हम लोग को थोड़ा रात को पी के लेके आएंगे. मनी शिमन व्लॉग्स में आया नहीं अभी तक.
तो नहीं आएगा भाई वो. Certainly quite essential aura of my life. That's Mani Chiman. प्रतीक किधर जा? किसको?
प्रतीक, अपना घर का रास्ता उधर नहीं है. सो चल रहे, ये ट्रेल से चल रहे. रास्ता भले है पर हम लोग के अरे पण परत चालायला भरपूर वरती यावं लागणार का. सो खाते कुछ खाया नहीं है सुबह से. तो कुछ खाते हैं, ब्रेकफास्ट के उतना ही। 4 बजे है फ़िलहाल, और मेरा नेटवर्क अभी फ्रांस का पकड़ रहा है, तो मुझे टाइम भी 1 घंटा जाता। मिलते हैं थोड़ी देर में आपको। मैं कार पार्क के यहाँ पे जाके कैफ़े में कुछ खाते पीते फिर मिलते हैं।